What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Dilly Vanilli back for my first solo video of the season. Yes, we are halfway through the year and this is the first solo video. I apologize. Class has been really busy. I got a lot of stuff going on, but I have dedicated a lot of time to the bottom line view this season on live streams and a whole bunch of other stuff. But I need to get back on my solo grind today. I'm bringing back a classic, a video I did last season for this exact same matchup, but I wanted to do it again because I think it's really interesting how these teams have changed over the course of the last season. And, you know, are there new up-and-comers? Are there contenders for certain positions? I wanted to see if anything would change from last year's list to this year's list. So today I'm bringing back the which team is better video. Mitch did one earlier on in the season with the Chiefs and the Patriots. I'm doing one here for the Saints and the Rams. If you did not check out the one from last year, if you want to look at the comparisons between the two videos, check that one out first before you watch this one. But I'm going to go over 9 positions and really just figure out who I think is the better team overall. We're going to talk about quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, and secondary, and kickers. That's the 9th position. And, you know, I know there's going to be a lot of disagreements. There's going to be a lot of controversy in this video. There always is. A lot of people have a lot of differing opinions with what I say in this video. So if you say anything different, if you think anything different, put it in the comment section below. I want to hear your opinions, but be respectful. You know, we all got different opinions on stuff. And just note that these are my personal opinions on who I think is the better player in each position. So with that being said, let's get into the video. All right, first comparison is the QB comparison between Drew Brees and Jared Goff. Jared Goff is 171 out of 253 for a 76.6 completion percentage, 2,425 passing yards, 17 total touchdowns, and 5 picks. Drew Brees is 188 out of 243 for a 77.4 completion percentage, 1,990 yards, 16 total touchdowns, and 1 pick. Jared Goff has looked very good this season. He looks like the consensus #1 pick from 2016. He looks like he's fitting into that role, but I still got to give it to Drew Brees. And I know there's going to be a little bit of controversy there. Oh, well, it looks like Jared Goff's had some better numbers. He's thrown for more passing yards. He has more touchdowns. Like, what are you thinking? But Drew Brees is Drew Brees. He is a focal point of that Saints offense. He is the leader. He's the guy that has been the veteran for so long there. He is the, without a doubt, needed for the Saints team. And I feel like a guy that we're going to talk about in just a second is a bigger focal point of their offense, more so than Jared Goff. And also the fact that I think Sean McVay really does help him develop. He obviously, you know, he's still growing. He needs his coach to be there. But I think Sean McVay makes Jared Goff a better player, and I think Drew Brees can do that by himself. So with that being said, I think Drew Brees is the better player, the better QB here. So Saints take it 1-0 here to start. All right, next up here we have the running back comparisons. For the Saints, we have Alvin Kamara, 92 rushes, 408 yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, 47 receptions, 393 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Mark Ingram, 41 rushes, 148 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 7 catches for 59 yards. And then we have Todd Gurley for the Rams, 169 rushes, 800 yards, 11 rushing touchdowns, 31 receptions, 351 yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns. This is the most controversial one, I think. This is going to be one that I will get a lot of comments for. But I'm going to go with Todd Gurley on this one. Todd Gurley is looking like the MVP. It's either him or Mahomes. He is looking like an MVP candidate for sure. And the biggest thing is that Todd Gurley is putting up really good numbers by himself. Kamara and Ingram combined almost put the same numbers as Todd Gurley. Like, that's crazy. I get it. Kamara's not really like the running back, power running back guy. He's going to be the guy catching out of the backfield, and he has more receptions than Todd Gurley. But Todd Gurley has 4 receiving touchdowns. That also helps him out. 800 rushing yards through 8 games of the season. On pace for, obviously, 1,600. That's a lot of freaking yards. And I think he's the focal point of the offense. I think he leads the offense just a little bit more than Kamara and Ingram. Are they a great combo? Absolutely. Against some of the other running back combos in the league, they're one of the best. So it's a very difficult comparison. It's one that I hate picking one over the other. But I think Todd Gurley is the MVP or second place right now in NFL. And just doing it by himself is so much more impressive to me. And being that leader for that offense that needs, you know, that scores so many points, I think I have to pick Todd Gurley over Kamara and Ingram. So I hate to do that, but Todd Gurley gets a slight edge, and we're tied up at 1. All right, here's the wide receiver comparison. For the Rams, we got Cooper Kupp, Brandon Cooks, and Robert Woods. Kupp with 30 catches, 438 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Cooks with 35 receptions, 643 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Robert Woods, 46 receptions, 672 yards, and 3 touchdowns. For the Saints, their 2 biggest contributors right now, Michael Thomas, of course, 58 catches, 669 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And Traquan Smith, 10 receptions, 191 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This one's a clear favorite for me. The Rams wide receiver group is much, much better. Yes, Michael Thomas is a better receiver than Cooper Kupp, Brandon Cooks, or Robert Woods, but the biggest difference here is that you have to have depth at the position to win the position. And while Michael Thomas is a better receiver than all of them, Kupp, Cooks, and Woods are so productive as a 3-man tandem that they beat out Michael Thomas. Because other than Michael Thomas, they don't have a lot of receiver talent in New Orleans. Traquan Smith is their number 2 guy. You know, he's pretty young, but 10 catches, 191 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's not great right now. You know, he's going to have more production as the season goes along. And if I'm wanting to go for a full group, I got to go with the wide receivers over there in LA. They're just looking so good right now. And Cooper Kupp's going to come back and be healthy and play this week. That's big for this Rams team. So overall, I think the Rams wide receiver group is better. All right, with the Rams up 2-1 in the player comparisons, we're off to the tight end comparison. For the Saints, we have Benjamin Watson, 23 catches, 230 yards, and a touchdown. And Tyler Higbee for the Rams, 6 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Out of all the groups we're going to talk about today, the tight end group is the worst, the least productive for both of these teams. The tight end is not really used in either scheme. They have a lot of talent elsewhere on the offensive side of the ball, so tight end is really just kind of used for, oh, you're open on 3rd down, we're going to throw it to you. They're 2 of the worst teams when it comes to tight ends in the entire league. But if I got to pick one, I'm going to pick the Saints. Benjamin Watson is a veteran in the NFL. He did catch Breeze's 500th career touchdown, so you got to have a little bit of trust, I guess. But also, I mean, Tyler Higbee just hasn't really shown up that much. I got to go with Benjamin Watson. He's been in the NFL a lot longer, and there's just something there you can rely on a little bit more than Higbee at this point. So while this isn't really a fair comparison because neither of these teams use the tight end effectively, it has to be brought up in player comparisons, and Benjamin Watson is the better tight end. So we're all knotted up at 2. All right, we're here at the offensive line positions. This one's going to be one of the more difficult ones for me because these are 2 of the better offensive lines in the league. And I like both of these offensive lines. It's just trying to pick which one I think is better. For the Saints, you got the 3 best players for me are Teron Armstead, the best tackle in the NFL right now for me. Andrews Pete, a guy that's really been improving. I know he's been hurt, but I think he's really been improving over the course of the season. And Max Unger, a guy you can really rely on that center position. For the Rams, you got Andrew Whitworth, who is pretty old. He's getting up there in age. He's probably, I think, 37 right now. But, you know, you can still rely on him to be one of the better tackles in the game. You got Roger Saffold. He's a good guard, a really solid guard, actually. Austin Blythe, I can't really pronounce his name correctly. But, you know, there's some really good guys on both teams that I really like here for the offensive line skill. But I'm going to go with the Saints. I think they have the number 1 offensive line in the game right now. It really helps out their run game. It opens up a lot of holes for guys like Kamara and Ingram to go through. And, it gives them enough time for Drew Brees to go there and throw some really deep balls and even Taysom Hill to make some great plays. So I'm going to go with the Saints. I think they can hold up against some of the better competition in the league and some of the better defensive lines, and that's a crucial thing. Can you hold up against some of the better defensive lines in the game? I think the offensive line for the Saints can do it just a little bit better. So while it was very difficult for me, I got to pick the Saints on this one. All right, we're at the defensive side of the ball now, and we're going to talk about the defensive line first. For the Saints, notable defensive line players include Cam Jordan, Sheldon Rankins, and Alex Okafor. And for the Rams, we have Ndamukong Suh, Aaron Donald, and the newly acquired Dante Fowler, the defensive end from Jacksonville. I mean, it has to be the Rams, right? It has to be the Rams no matter what on this one in particular. I love Cam Jordan. He's fantastic. I am very happy that he's having all the success in New Orleans, but the Rams are just so loaded on the defensive line. Aaron Donald, a freak of nature, one of the best defensive players in the entire game. Ndamukong Suh, you don't want to mess with Ndamukong Suh. This is a guy that's going to be very powerful. We know what Ndamukong Suh can bring to the table, and he is one of the best defensive players up there. And then Dante Fowler, a guy, they really needed some edge rush help on that line. And they said, you know what, let's go ahead and go get Dante Fowler. Like, this just helps the Rams so much more. And I think it was one of, if not the best trade at the trade deadline. So even without Dante Fowler on here, I would probably pick the Rams still, but just having Dante Fowler in there helps you so much. And again, Ndamukong Suh, Aaron Donald, two guys I'm not trying to really mess with if I'm on the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to pick the Rams here. This one's pretty much a no-doubter. All right, we're tied up at 3 as we go to the linebacker crew for both the Saints and the Rams. For the Saints, we have A.J. Klein, Manti Te'o, and Demario Davis. And for the Rams, we have Samson Ebukam, Corey Littleton, and Mark Barron. I'm sorry if I messed up Samson's name. It's not an easy one. Again, not one of the more impressive group of linebackers in the league. They're right around middle of the road here for both teams. But I like the Saints just a little bit more. A.J. Klein can move around and do some things. Manti Te'o has been one of the more underrated linebackers, one of the more sneaky ones that can make some really good plays. And Demario Davis, I actually like quite a bit. Going forward for the first half of the season, I think he's done quite a good job. For the Rams, it's just kind of guys that I see as up-and-comers that need a little bit more time to get established. Corey Littleton, I think, has been the best one that they have right now. But overall, I just think I like the Saints linebacker crew just a little bit more. Demario Davis puts it over the top for me, and the sneakiness of Manti Te'o also helps as well. So just the Saints linebacker crew does it a little bit more for me than the Rams, so the Saints are up 4-3 now. All right, we're here at the secondary positions for both the Saints and the Rams, the last defensive category for both teams. For the Saints, we have Ken Crawley, Kurt Coleman, Marcus Williams, P.J. Williams, Marshawn Lattimore, Eli Apple. Those are the guys you're going to see in the secondary. For the Rams, you got Marcus Peters, John Johnson, LaMarcus Joyner, and Sam Shields. Those are the main group of guys for them. I got to go with the Rams on this one. And the reason why is I think that their secondary can put a little bit more pressure and is able to read zone options more than the Saints can. And I like what the Saints can do. Marshawn Lattimore really helps them out, really makes them have a standout player. And Eli Apple, who was a top 10 pick in the NFL draft just a couple of years ago, does help them out when they traded for him. That was a good, solid pick. But overall, I just see a little bit more in what the Rams can bring. I know Peters has struggled immensely this season. Past week 1, he has struggled a lot. But I think there's still potential for him to get back on track. And with the defense that they have, I think it'll help him out more, as the season goes on. LaMarcus Joyner, a guy that needs to be talked about more in that secondary, very good piece for them. And Sam Shields, that veteran player, that veteran presence, just to help them out and really make some great plays. Especially, in the red zone, they need those kind of players. And I think these group of guys are just a little bit more impactful than the Saints, because obviously they didn't think their secondary was good enough, so they had to go get Eli Apple at the trade deadline, and it does help them out quite a bit. But I just think the Rams are a little bit more stronger in the secondary position, and it helps them a little bit more. And I think the Saints just get hurt by the fact that they have the secondary that they do have. So we're tied 4-4 going into the last category, the kickers. All right, finally in our player comparisons, we have the Saints and Rams kickers. For the Saints, we have Will Lutz. He's 15 of 16 this season, 7 of 8 from 40 to 49 yards, 1 for 1 on 50 yards plus, and 21 of 22 extra points made. And for the Rams, we have Greg the Leg Zuerlein, 9 of 10 field goals, 1 of 2 from 40 to 49 yards, 1 of 1 from 50 plus, and 8 for 8 extra points made. Now, Greg the Leg has been hurt this season. That kind of really hurts the stats that I just told you about. But I'm going to go with Will Lutz here. I think Will Lutz has been very accurate over the course of the last couple of seasons. He's been one of the more underrated kickers over the last couple of seasons. And a lot of people don't talk about him. And even last year, I was bringing this up. I really wanted to give Will the benefit of the doubt and pick him over Greg. But Greg just had the leg going for him. But this year, Lutz has shown that he can make the field goals when necessary and really help the team out. That game against the Giants, he had to kick 4 field goals in 1 quarter, and he made all 4 of them. So, a guy like that is very helpful in situations like that. And I had to go with Will Lutz on this one. And just because the Saints won 5-4 doesn't mean I don't think the Rams are good. The Rams are very, very good. And in these player comparisons, you have to take it with a grain of salt. I think the reason that I picked the Saints more is I think as a group, as a whole unit, I think that they can get it done against some of the best competition in the league, and they can win in many different ways. Drew Brees wasn't even the big leader last week, and they still did a lot of great things for him. I just think as a whole, the Saints are a better well put together team. It's going to be a fun matchup on Sunday. That's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash the like button. I know every YouTuber in the world tells you that, but smash the like button for me. It really does help me out. Comment below if you disagreed with any of the points that I made in this video. Comment below. What do you think? Do you think the Rams are better? And if you do, comment below, but be respectful about it, because calling each other names and all this other stuff really doesn't help anybody out. It's constructive criticism, which I do take very seriously. And if you think that the Saints are better, to those people out there, comment below, you know, what makes the Saints better or what makes the Rams better. I like doing these videos right before these games because it really just shows what I think before, and then I get to react about it afterwards and think, whoa, if the Rams won, then they are the better team, and I was wrong on this opinion. But if the Saints won, then I just basically, I made myself right in the long haul. So that's why I like making these videos. It's just a lot of fun to make, and it's out there to talk about two of the better teams in the NFL, and I want to hear what you guys have to think about it. Subscribe to the Bottom Line View. More NFL content on the way. We post like every freaking day. Mitch is a madman with those videos. I'm starting to put out more content. I hope you guys enjoyed this solo video. It's been a while for me. I apologize, but I'm putting out more content, I promise. So I'm doing on the Bottom Line View. Peace out.